for Gen Zs and the people who don't want to say many things. What's important there, Your Excellency, are three words: conservation, livelihood improvement, and the integration. I told the members of parliament when they came to see the PS that I used to think politicians are very bad people. Because as professionals, we would go to the forests with KFS and plant trees. Very nice. But if they take the mic one day and speak, some of the effort we put would not be seen. I used to think they were bad. Until the day I learned that we were missing that integration word. We were just planting trees, we didn't make sense, we were not addressing livelihoods. And that's why now the patron of this program has introduced livelihood improvement and made this to be an integrated program. So the important words there are integration, conservation, and livelihood improvement. Let's move. And of course, just before you move, of course, the program is contributing to the 15 billion tree planting campaign. You can see the logo of Kenya Forest Service there, because 50% of the work delivered is the work of Kenya Forest Service. And then at the far right, you will see the logo of the program MFC iClip. Let's move. I'll be quick because the documents are on your table. So that's, Your Excellency, just the overview of the Mau Forest. It's called a complex because it is. It is made up of 21 forest blocks. So all these that you see here, they're in the document, I'm sure you can see it in finer print, are the blocks that make up the Mau Forest complex. Of course, it's an important ecosystem because it's the largest water tower in Kenya. It covers approximately 403,000 hectares. If you were to contextualize that against the land you hold, this is 403,000 hectares. So it's the largest water tower. It spans across 6 counties, peripherally in Uasin Gishu, Nandi and Baringo, but largely in Nakuru, in Kericho, in Bomet, and in Narok. Like I've said, Your Excellency, it's comprised of 22 forest blocks. 21 of these are managed by Kenya Forest Service because they are public forests. But this one here, the 22nd, is formerly a trust land. It's now a community forest under the county government of Narok. Let's move. The importance of the MFC. The people from there would tell us much more. But just as a top-level summary, it's important to the local community in many ways. One, it's that it's a source of water for their different users, including domestic farming and livestock. It also is tied to the enterprises and the agricultural activities that they run. Of course, it's also a rich cultural heritage for communities that live here. But nationally, like I've said, it's the largest water tower. For the people in energy, it contributes 600 megawatts of the hydropower that we have in Sondu Miriu. And it's also important, Your Excellency, because it sustains key ecosystems. The Masai Mara wildebeest crossing cannot be there if we don't have the Mau, because the very river they cross, the source is where we are talking about. So of course, if you thought about Masai Mara, but closer home, our nice Lake Nakuru, the home of flamingos. The source of Lake Nakuru and the nice flamingos we see and brand ourselves with as a county, the source is the Mau. And many other uses, but let's move very fast in the interest of time. Of course, the Lake Victoria Basin, let me not even start talking about them. The water that goes to Lake Victoria comes from the Mau. So Your Excellency, when you saw the President launching the Grand Renaissance Dam in Egypt, in Ethiopia, in the climate summit, that dam would not be there if it wasn't for this water, Bararget Hapa. It's the source of River Nile. And you can think about it from Ethiopia to South Sudan to Egypt and so forth. I've said about Masai Mara, and the uses are many. Let me not spend a whole day here to talk about it. Just a snippet, Your Excellency, of the flows of those rivers I'm speaking about. So this one that you see here is the one that goes to River Mara. This is actually the River Mara. And the source is the Mau. This is the one that goes to Lake Natron, which is the only breeding site for the lesser flamingos in the world. And this, let's go back a bit. And these are the major sources that goes to Lake Victoria in the dam I was speaking about. And then this is the one that goes to Lake Baringo, and then this is the one that goes to Lake Tarkwel. So that's basically the importance of this Mau. I know when we come from there, sometimes we don't think it's too important, but it is. We could speak about its importance until the cows come home. But let's move. With that importance, it's facing a lot of threats, and those of you who come from there would know it better. Of course, we have challenges on legislation and institutional frameworks, but also closer home, we have cases of illegal charcoal production. And I didn't mention anyone. Yeah, we have extensive illegal charcoal production. But fortunately, those users have now been converted to stakeholders of this program. Their chairperson used to be Mheshimiwa Kuresoi North. They've been converted, and now they are paying for their, did you call it sins another time? Yes. That's their contribution to this program. We have cases of overharvesting of wood fuel, overgrazing, land use changes, and so many others. But the bottom line, Your Excellency, is that because of those challenges, we have lost significant amount of forest cover over the years. And it's impacting on land use changes, it's impacting on riparian land, and it's giving us issues of water pollution and affecting the local community while at it. Let's move. This is the inspiration that Engineer Dr. Festus Ngeno got, so that he's inspiring all of us and calling all of us to action through the MFC iClip program. Let's move. So the program is a 10-year program. It's huge. It's a 10-year program. And conservation being expensive, it's a cost of about 21.5 billion. But so that it is targeted, the PS is not starting with the 22 forest blocks. He's starting with the 4 forest blocks of Eastern, Molo, Western, and Southwest, together with the farmlands therein. So administratively, they would fall in Joro, they would fall in Molo, they fall in Kuresoi South and Kuresoi North. So 4 forest blocks, 4 sub-counties for the start. Let's move. We've done a picture so that you have a picture of this. This is Eastern Mau, the first block, that is Molo, that's Western Mau, this is Southwest. And in here are the communities in Kuresoi North, in Kuresoi South, in Molo, and in Joro constituency. Let's move. So the general objective of the project to restore and sustainably manage the MFC using an integrated conservation and livelihood improvement approach that enhances ecosystem functionality and strengthens climate resilience. Let's move. It has 5 specific objectives. I shall show you at the component level. Let's move. Of course, it's aligned to the national and international priorities, from the ones of climate change, from the ones of Afri 100, but closer home, the 15 billion tree planting campaign led by His Excellency the President. Let's move. So the objectives have been translated to program components. That's why today we planted 5 trees, Your Excellency, to signify the 5 program components. The first is where all the tree growing shall happen. We are calling it sustainable landscape management. And this is tree growing in forest land, in wetlands, in riparian lands, in schools, and in farmlands. The second is now what politicians like, which we used to miss as conservationists. Community livelihood improvement program. And this is where maneno ya raia na pesa mfukoni, ile yenye rais anasema kwa better, inaingia. This is where they will be focused on the value chains that are prevalent there: dairy, milk, potato, avocado, sunflower, and there's a long list that waziri wa agriculture alinipatia. Then the third is important to the Ministry of Environment, and DG Mamo is here. I'm not saying you're the manager of waste, but number 3 is dealing about waste management, circular economy. Number 4 is on environmental education and research. And then the last is looking at project governance, coordination, and resource mobilization. I want to stress, Your Excellency, just before, that here in environmental education and awareness, one of the most powerful tools we are using is sports and talent development. And that is where the marathon falls, in an attempt to infuse sports into conservation, to raise awareness in that respect. Let's move. So we have targets for 10 years. You know, the patron is an engineer. He thinks numbers, he thinks structure and organization. So in 10 years, what does the program want to achieve? In the tree growing targets, we did a mapping of all the forest 4 blocks and established that the degraded land amounts to 33,138 hectares, which is the aim of this program, that by the 10th year, we will have restored the entire of the degraded areas in the 4 forest blocks. And it's huge work, because 1 hectare, we use 1,000 hectares, 1,000 trees to restore. So if you work out those numbers, again, working with an engineer of numbers, times 1,000, we are looking at about 3.3 million seedlings. Sorry, you're looking at about 33 million. Let me declare I'm not a mathematics person. My professor is there. She taught me environmental science. So we are looking at about 33 million tree seedlings in 10 years. Of course, to fence off the very fragile forest boundaries with the advice of Kenya Forest Service, to establish 200 kilometers of socio-economic buffer zones, which is what Nyayo T-Zones does, protect wetlands, restore wetlands. We have about 143,000 hectares to be put under sustainable land management practices. We shall also carry out tree growing in 535 schools across the 4 sub-counties. And this is important to the women rep. I remember her asking us the first time she came, providing alternative energy. Because in the documentary you will see, Raia say, sisi hatukujua tulikuwa tunamaliza msitu, tulikuwa tunaendea. Tulikuwa tunaendea? Oh, there were fewer women in the room. Usually they get it. Wanasema sisi hatukujua ni msitu tulikuwa tunamaliza. Ni kuni tu. So the work in that component shall be to provide alternative sources of energy. Clean cooking, including biogas and solar, but also improved cook stoves and others. Water harvesting, it's interesting that this area provides water for everyone, including the Nile. But they don't have major rivers. But instead, they are blessed with 206 colonial dams. We have mapped. Those water pans zile za wazungu. But some of them require rehabilitation. So in this component, there shall be rehabilitation of those water pans, but together with distribution of water tanks to schools and households, but also
Agnata chitab Kalenjin ko igorta netestai en taunetab Nakuru netokchingei lumdaetab labatet nebo Mau Forest Marathon. Notok ko nekitokchingei keboisien kekanapta ribetab osnet notok bo Mau. Kitestai kesubi notok asikeweken yotet testai ng'alalutik chebo toek chemiten komosato, toek chebo kondit, kobaten nguni ketokchinigei bunge nebo National Assembly, testai ng'alalet en bunge notok bo National Assembly tinyegei ak kelchinoik